Please welcome Nizar Allibhoy. He's an accomplished technology executive and innovative entrepreneur recognized for developing groundbreaking technological solutions. As founder and CEO of Kerry Care, Nizar integrates deep expertise in artificial intelligence with personal caregiving insights to drive innovation in healthcare support systems. At Kerry Care, he led the development of Kerry, an AI-powered assistant that streamlines care coordination through intuitive voice and text interactions, connecting patients, families, caregivers, and healthcare providers. The platform reduces communication friction, minimizes scheduling issues, and improves care delivery outcomes. Nizar has launched and scaled multiple tech ventures across industries, including hospitality, media, and healthcare. His visionary leadership and strategic partnerships consistently turn cutting-edge ideas into practical, impactful solutions. As a respected thought leader and speaker, Nizar champions human-centered technology that addresses critical needs in health and caregiving, inspiring collaboration and positive change across the healthcare ecosystem, something we know is needed deeply. Nizar, we are so excited to learn from you. Welcome to the exchange.
Thank you for the kind words, Julie, and the great intro and the opportunity to speak to such an amazing group. What you guys do is really inspiring. Let me figure out how to share my screen, which is proving to be challenging, but give me a moment.
So do you see a green button at the bottom of your screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just figuring out which window, right?
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Well, as I said, thank you so much for the intro and the opportunity. I come at this from the perspective of a caregiver, um, because that's kind of been my experience and journey, particularly in the care of my parents as they have aged. But the one thing that I've really come to appreciate is the opportunity that AI presents to just completely change the way we interact with what are highly complex, highly technical subjects around healthcare. And that's something that really drove the development of Kerry, which was, there's so many things to do in a given day, in a given week, in a given month when providing care, that having something that kind of organizes across everybody who's involved in the care of a loved one was really important. And as I said, there's complexity in all of this stuff. And the reason we kind of went with the approach that we did of focusing on using AI is that it also freed us from needing to have a requirement for a mobile app or a portal and things like that. So in the process of developing Carry over the last now 2.5 years, I've spent a lot of time working with AI broadly. And as I've spoken to different audiences around this, whether they are providers or caregivers or just family members, there's a lot of questions, sometimes misconceptions about what is AI. So I thought that maybe we'd start there first, just kind of defining what AI is. First thing, AI is not new. It's actually been around since the 50s, the 1950s. And the term was first used during that time period to define essentially what today we would call computing. But AI was a term coined. But AI also refers to kind of a broad family of technologies, and machine learning is one early area that actually was commercialized. And what we call AI today is really, um, a step change, but it is a evolution of that technology. And in that evolution was really driven by the advances in graphic processing units, GPUs. And the reason I've put names of a few of the providers of these technologies is because, again, there's so much noise around AI. It's hard to tell um, who is doing what. So, NVIDIA, the reason they're a $4 trillion company today is because their technology, their GPUs are the best that are out there, and they are absolutely essential to continuing development of large language models, which is kind of what is popularly called AI today. Um, and then these large language models are basically the thing that you are engaging with when you go on ChatGPT. But these models are actually used in a lot of different ways beyond just, one-on-one chat types of applications, and we'll touch on that a little bit. When you are actually on ChatGPT or using Google Gemini or even Siri, that is broadly known as, kind of agents or assistants, right? So I wanted to kind of set this as a um, as a first step in kind of talking about AI broadly. And these are kind of the key technologies that are in use and available today. So you are already using AI and have been using AI now for many, 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 many years, right? When you're on your smartphone and the keyboard is kind of predicting the words that you're going to type next, that's all driven through machine learning. That's been available for a long time. Similarly, the thing that lets you erase, the magic eraser type features that are in the camera apps on your phones are all using kind of um, you know models that have been developed and are have been available for a while. But if you go on the web today, you're constantly engaging with AI, right? When you go on Google and search for something, you'll see a little summary that Google produces. That's done through their Gemini models, right? Obviously, ChatGPT and Claude and all of these online agents are all using AI. And even things like, Smart Composer, when you go on LinkedIn and it says, AI can help you post refine your post. All of that is available and has been available for a while now. Similarly, this technology is actually embedded in a lot of devices, right? The robot vacuum that, figures out what to do and how it maps a room is all done through these machine learning models. And again, these things have been around for a while. What's changing is how rapidly this is now permeating kind of traditional productivity and workplace type applications. So things like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and all of those are now kind of driving these things. We're on Zoom right now. The Zoom AI companion is another example, right? And then in specific industries, AI is becoming kind of the way to kind of be productive. Software development is one, right? So GitHub Copilot and other coding assistants are incredibly efficient at helping speed up and optimize software development. But this technology has already been used and is used in healthcare. At this point, it's mostly behind the scenes, right? It's mostly used by clinicians for clinicians. And it's typically used in kind of a pre-processing step, right? So analyzing scans or processing voice and audio, right? These are all kind of pre-processing steps that help clinicians make better choices and better decisions. And that's kind of, where things are today. What's also starting to happen now is, where AI can fit within your care journey. As you go through the process of everything from the diagnosis all the way through, right? There are places and technologies that are available, right? And this can start with again, some of the technologies that your clinicians can use. There are new things that can help you become better advocates. One of those is an open source large language model that Google released called MedGemma. And that model actually is useful in helping empower you. You can upload your scans and it will give you kind of a analysis of your MRI in plain English, right? So there's a lot of these kinds of technologies that are available that are becoming more and more mature. And the key around this, and the reason I kind of threw this slide in, is to give you an idea that there's a lot of places where AI is useful and is being used. The question is, what does it really mean, right? And this is where I think it's really important to understand the limits and the risks that are associated with it, right? Um, First thing to understand, LLMs, and if you use ChatGPT, I encourage you to try this. Try having a conversation with ChatGPT where it actually says, I don't know. Just that's as a thought experiment, you should try that. Because, that's one of the big limitations, frankly, and risks of these language models is that they don't know when they don't know, right? So they will always try to come up with a response, come up with an answer to kind of please you, right? So that's something that you need to be very, very cognizant of. The second is, privacy is incredibly important, especially as people are going through this journey. There's a vulnerability there, right? So making sure that whatever information you put into these models is especially the publicly available tools, you don't put things like IDs, right? Just like you wouldn't do a Google search with your social security number. Take a similar approach, right? The chat model is also kind of, you know, that data is being used somewhere, right? Um, the next point is that there is a bias in these models. And it's not an intentional bias. It is more a bias based on data. Whatever these models are trained on immense amounts of data. Um, and whatever data is underrepresented in the input of the training is naturally going to be underrepresented in the output of what the model produces. So that's something that should be understood. Um, the the regulations around all of this stuff, frankly, are incredibly unclear, and they are changing. And it's going to be interesting to see how things like you know vertical industry specific models are regulated or not, because in some respects there has been no regulation on the publicly available models. So it's going to be interesting how this evolves. Um, the thing that I would also want to point out is AI and tools that use AI should be used as informative, not determinative. Ultimately, you and your team are should use this information, but this should not be determinative in how you proceed, right? Um, and then finally, as you kind of use different tools, it's important to have tools that will cite their sources and show when they were updated with information. Unlike the web, which is constantly being updated, these models are basically pre-baked. Now they're getting a lot better. So there are new strategies that are being used in updating the models. But you should always understand that there may be a lag between what the model knows and what is available today. Now, those windows are more on the order of weeks or months, but it's something to keep in mind. So, how should you think about when you're engaging with these, right? First, as I said, don't put personally identifiable data into these tools. Same rules as searching online, right? If you wouldn't put your social security number into a text entry box elsewhere, don't do it here, right? Next, be very clear, and use plain English when talking to these things. They are very, very, very good at taking sentences and sentence structure and turning those into kind of refined data that can come back to you. And just engage with it, right? If it's saying something that you don't understand or you don't agree with, just tell it, I don't understand, I don't agree with this. And ask it to, and I'm being very specific and clear that it's an it, not a person. And just ask it to kind of explain itself. And you'll often find that the tools will actually almost have a moment of self-reflection. It's kind of weird, but they do. Um, and then certainly the time gap, particularly as you're thinking about, cutting edge data, it's important to kind of keep in mind that there may be a time lag. So these are kind of and I'm, repeating this a little bit, but these are kind of the 4 key points, right? Um, AI is your co-pilot. Don't put it on autopilot, right? It can kind of, come up with ideas or give you some information, but you really need to engage your team on how to kind of make best use of that information. Um, Contextualizing the prompts is important. These systems are very good, and they can take in technical, complex terms, terminology, um, ideas, and they will, understand to a certain extent and respond. And again, engage with it, right? And which is kind of leads to the next, which is to iterate, right? Ask for sources and dates, ask for follow-ups. One of the things that I do often is I will take, start a session with ChatGPT. I will take whatever it produces, copy it, start a new session, paste it in there, and I'll say, hey, review this for me. And it will actually do a decent job of reviewing it. And it will come back and sometimes even surface new ideas around it. So you can, these tools are still kind of evolving. So don't take what is produced as the first time as gospel, just refine it, right? And then particularly if you are going to use this information as part of your treatment process, just save the output, right? Because it's hard to kind of, unlike search where you can kind of go and say the same thing and you can expect a similar set of results. You may not get the same results. It may not cite the same sources. So sometimes it helps to kind of keep an audit trail of what is being produced. So here's kind of some of the tools and things that you can use, right? So um, taking some of your reports or scans and so on, and just putting it into one of these tools to have it kind of translated into plain English. Similarly for care coordination, there's tools like what my company produces, and there are others as well that can help kind of organize and coordinate care across multiple people, multiple groups, and so on. You can do things like exploring new information. So Perplexity, they're kind of a hybrid search engine and AI tool. So their information is typically kind of very search oriented. So you can use that, right? There are some really interesting things that are coming out and these are still under development, but essentially AI front ends to clinicaltrials.gov and similar sources, right? Where you can kind of do plain English uh, queries, and it will kind of come back with opportunities for you. And then we talked a little bit about the MedGemma, but there's a demo that's available online that you can try yourself. And there's a lot of interesting things that are available and evolving. So the future is incredible around the use of AI for sarcoma care. The thing that I'm personally most excited about is these new multimodal image and text models that are being developed. And they're being trained specifically on vertical, specific data. So MedGemma, there's a Palm, which is also another Google model that is being optimized. Llama, which is a model produced by Meta. They're all being fine-tuned on specific data sets around, for specific conditions. And they are evolving rapidly, they're growing rapidly. And the best part is that some of these are becoming available as open weights and open source, which makes it a lot easier to find and use, meaning that they're not exclusively for clinicians and for organizations. Similarly, there is a lot of new developments around pathology, right? Incredible data that is being, there's already some great results that are being produced around this, right? And similarly for genomic and clinical matchmaking, we talked a little bit about the chatbots that can help match for trials. And then there's lots of things around continuous care and tools that will help both in monitoring and in engagement as you go through your journey. The part that's most interesting, and this is something that is helping drive some of this, is you're starting to see some collaboration between different organizations on how to kind of pull together data, anonymize it to strict standards, and then use that for training. And that should help speed up kind of a lot of these developments and how fast they become available in market. The last thing I'll do is just share a quick video that is essentially for Kerry and how we use AI, and just one of the many different ways that are available for people to use technology to kind of further and improve their care.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and I'd like to introduce you to Kerry, a new kind of care assistant that has transformed our family's caregiving needs. My father has been relying on Kerry to manage his chronic back pain.
Hello?
Hi, George, it's Kerry. Just calling to remind you to take your medication.
Oh, yes, I've taken it. And my blood pressure, 130/80.
Great, I'll make a note. Also, you have an appointment with Dr. Miller this afternoon. Sarah's confirmed to take you.
Okay, thanks.
And now when I call Kerry to check on my father, I get instant updates.
Hi, Sarah, how can I help you?
Just wanted to see how Dad is doing.
He's doing well. He's taken his medication and blood pressure today. All looks good. And he knows you're confirmed to take him to the doctor this afternoon.
Perfect. Oh, can we also schedule him a home care visit Tuesday morning at 8?
No problem. I'll call Caring Senior Service now.
Hey, Carrie, calling about a client?
Hi, Joe. Yes, we'd like to schedule a home care visit for George Carter next Tuesday. Sally is his usual caregiver, but Rita and Marco are also available.
Try Sally first.
On it.
Hello?
Hey, Sally, it's Carrie.
Hey, Carrie, what's up?
Just calling to confirm your availability on Tuesday at 8 a.m. George Carter's care team is requesting a visit.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Great, I'll update your schedule.
Carrie keeps us informed every step of the way, optimizing his care plan and how tasks are completed. My father enjoys greater independence, and we get peace of mind 24 hours a day. If you want to enhance the care of those you care about most, give Carrie a try.
So, that was just one example, and there's a lot of different places, a lot of different ways where AI is available, is going to be more and more prevalent, yeah, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. I think that video was really informative of visualizing how it can all come together and reduce some of those barriers for patients and caregivers. We do have a couple questions in the Q&A box. For just the sake of time, I'm just going to ask one, and then maybe if you have a couple minutes, you could answer the remaining questions. And there were actually two questions in this area, and it was around your comment on privacy and just not, being cognizant of the personally identifying information that people are putting into these AI models. And so the question is kind of twofold. What's the risk? What is the exact risk to a patient if they would put in something that is personally identifiable? And then how much should we be concerned about privacy when using AI sources and agents? And is there a way to protect privacy by subscribing or through some other method?
Yeah, so risk is always a function of one's tolerance for risk. So I would characterize it exactly the way I said, which is if you go to google.com and you put in some personally identifying information, it's less risky than if you were to put that same information into some unknown website.com, right? So using, and again, I hate to use the word trust because it's, again, one of those things where it's one of a person, everybody kind of has their own perspective on these things, right? But the more reputable, the larger the organization, the less likely that there's going to be any kind of an issue. But really, the way I think about it is, it's a tool, right? If it's a tool that you feel that you can benefit from, then you should use it. But if you feel that it is not going to be beneficial, then you should kind of be a little wary, right? And the thing that I usually think about is, what is the most important PII, right, in a healthcare setting? It's your name, date of birth, your address, all of your kind of the stuff that kind of is on the first page of the report. So don't upload the first page, right? That's kind of how I think about it. I know it may not be a perfect answer, but we're kind of living in imperfect times as this technology evolves.